Was the Bo Horvat trade better than any trade made during the 8 years of Jim Benning's tenure? Holy, it's possible. You're going to hear our takes on that next. It's Begsy and it's Bhawan, and you're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, the sun is shining, and we hope you're listening to us, perhaps in the great outdoors, but wherever you are, we appreciate you for tuning into this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. Go and download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And before we dive into the meat of today's show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. This is a two-parter coming up here. So part one of revisiting all of Allvin's trades during his first season on the job. We're going to look at 4 of those trades today, 3 early season trades, and of course we'll get to the big one, Bo Horvat being traded to the New York Islanders. But first and foremost, let me introduce a guy who had to get his Horvat tattoo removed after this trade. Kyle Bhawan, how you doing, buddy?
Sure did. Speaking of which, grade 12, 2011, I told the team, I told the boys, I told the city, I told the school, right? If the Stanley Cup champions were the Vancouver Canucks that year, I was going to get the whole roster tattooed on my back. That was going to happen, y'all. That was going to happen. That's how passionate I was. And there was nothing more than that I loved than the Vancouver Canucks. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. I guess you can say that statement, it's coming to fruition right now. We're still here. We're still here talking about this team, and now we're doing it every day for the people. Speaking of which, we'll get to your comments at the end of the show. We got one comment only on our last episode, and it's okay. It's the hangover from what could have been, and that's the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. We did an episode last week talking about what the roster would look like if that dream came true, and now it just looked like we wasted a lot of time. For real, man. For real. That episode,
dreaming, buddy. We were dreaming. Okay?
It created the hype, dude. It created
okay.
the hype, and I feel as if we disappointed a lot of people because we got people to become optimistic about the impossible, and the impossible seemed so possible for just a bit. But now, fast forward 6 days later, and now we're seeing commercials, man. Habits, structure, accountability. Things are different. What team releases a commercial like that? What? A week into the second round of the playoffs after another year of disappointment. It's something else. Now I see a lot of people asking for more from that commercial, right? They wanted more promise, more statements about the cups and the playoffs in the future. They didn't mention that at all in the commercial. To me, I'm not mad at that. Okay, one step at a time. It is what it is. Anywho, I've been rambling for a long time. Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. Let's start the show.
Yeah, it's funny. I was asked the other day at this event, how do you talk about the Canucks 5 days a week when there's nothing going on? And I was just like, I'm a hockey nerd, man. And Kyle, I know you're a hockey nerd too. Maybe not quite as much of a hockey nerd as me, but I'm always happy to dive into the past. We're not going to go too far into the past, though, okay? We're looking at the 2022-23 season. Over the next 2 episodes, going to analyze all 10 trades made by Patrik Allvin. I was thinking in section 1 here, Allvin made 3 trades before the big one, okay? We mentioned at the top. We're going to get to it in our second segment, but he made 3 trades early in the season. Actually, all 3 trades happened in October. I'm going to preface by saying that the Canucks in general were one of the busiest teams on the trade market this season, making 10 trades. Okay, there's no aggregator that I could find that says how many trades each team made. Hit me up in the comments if you know. But from just glancing at it, it looks like the Canucks, I know they were one of the busiest teams in the league, but there's a good chance they were the busiest team in the league. So let's look at these trades, Kyle, and maybe let's just give Allvin an overall pass or fail based on these 3 trades here. So the first one, for me, it's an immediate fail, but it was getting rid of Jason Dickinson's $2.65 million contract for this season and next. So the Canucks trade Jason Dickinson and a 2024 second-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks for Riley Stillman. And trading away a second-round pick, it makes me sad. Acquiring Riley Stillman and having to watch him play in Vancouver for most of the season, that makes me angry. So this is just like an all around fat fail for this trade. I know that they were trying to clean up Benning's mess, but even looking back at it now, like, doesn't it seem like trading a second round pick to get rid of Jason Dickinson's contract? I know there's some value in Stillman, but doesn't that seem like it was a huge overpay?
Yeah, because the player coming the other way was Riley Stillman, you know? I feel as
Yeah,
if there was more patience, which I don't think that the team could have afforded at the time because so many things had to be moving for the roster to look the way they wanted it to look. They were kind of forced into dealing Dickinson quicker, kind of, sort of, and they acted, in my opinion, too irrationally because, again, I think if they spent more time talking to other teams and letting them know that, yo, we're going to throw a second round pick in here as well, there could have been a better player in return, right? I
yeah.
don't think I'm saying too much in that. That just makes a lot of sense because a second round pick in this year's draft, am I correct? In this year's draft?
No, next year's draft, but
Next year's draft.
Chicago,
Okay.
yeah, they got so many
All right.
freaking picks. It's unbelievable.
Incorrect. Kyle Bound,
Um,
incorrect. Next to Trevor. Let's go.
yeah, we also don't have a second in this year's draft because that was part of the Oliver Ekman-Larsson trade. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Jim. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Jim.
man.
We're going to touch on Jim Benning later in this episode because I think there's an interesting debate there. But let's look at the second trade Allvin made. This was trading away Michael DiPietro and right shot defense prospect Jonathan Myrenberg to the Boston Bruins for Jack Studnicka. Kyle, now that we've had a few months to digest this, how are you feeling about this move?
Not good too because they swung and missed. They swung and took a miss. Now, what's going to happen with that defensive prospect that the Vancouver Canucks traded? Who knows, right? Time will only tell. Right at the time, I only followed Faber at the time, and he was covering the dude a little bit. Seemed kind of high on him. I think anyone could be high on any defensive prospect in the Canucks organization because there's such a lack there. At the same time, though, why make it's a swing and a miss. I was going to try, going on a spiel for a couple minutes there, but it's a swing and a miss because again, you traded a defensive prospect in order to get some immediate help from another younger player, but that dude is nothing but an AHL player. He should have been playing in the AHL the whole season.
Yeah,
It's the truth. Another swing and a
100%.
miss. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Tocchet said it best late in the season here. Jack Studnicka works his tail off, but hard work only matters so much. Like you got to earn it at some point. And I think maybe Sweet feels differently about Studnicka if you profiled as a center. I mean, he played center for most of his junior career and in the AHL as well, but that doesn't look comfortable in the NHL at all.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind center, never mind at
Mm-hmm.
wing. And I really still hate this move. Looking back at it, I mean, Jonathan Meyerberg could end up being nothing, but it is so hard to acquire young, exciting defense prospects. You pretty much have to draft them. And Jonathan Meyerberg, I know he's only a fifth round pick, but he's a 6'3", 200-pound Swede who
Yeah.
can skate, who can produce a bit of offense. The Canucks just don't have anyone like that in their pipeline right now. And
Yeah.
just to trade him away, just to get a little bit of Jack Studnicka in the lineup, I see why Allvin made the gamble, but this trade irks me. Both of these two trades.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Actually, we'll maybe touch on that in tomorrow's episode when we look at Hronik. But like right now, I'm looking at the move for Studnicka and the move for Stillman, and those to me stand out as Allvin's worst moves. But the Hronik one obviously has bigger stakes.
I think the fan base has a tough time swallowing a trade involving a young defensive prospect for any player, especially for a player that's a tweener like Jack is, based on what happened with Gustav Forsling, right? Am I saying that last name
Yeah.
right? Am I saying it right? It just leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. Like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to us. Here we are prioritizing wingers, bottom six projects, when maybe we should just be doing our best to develop again this type of player or this prototype of player that is so important in great NHL team rosters. Man, come on, Begsy. Begsy, man, that commercial, man. I'm sorry, man. All over the place. That commercial, man. That commercial. Kyle Bhawan all over the place, right? If you're new to the program, Locked On Canucks, now you know, right? Now you know. I'm all over the place. A couple minutes ago, a little angry about the commercial. Not angry at the message, but just about the timing. Obviously, they're trying to sell season tickets, right? It's what they got to do. And now thinking about the commercial, I kind of mess with it, not going to lie. Next season starts now. I think there was a bit of a subliminal message too, because right after the commercial came out, the Canucks tweeted out the the dates for training camp. Like, oh, this is when we're going to start, September or whatnot, right? They're lying, dude. That was just to make the NHL happy. A training camp starts now. I would not be surprised if the boys are doing the grouse grind right now, wearing mustaches and wigs. For real. All of them. Do whatever it takes because next season starts now.
I hope they're wearing mustaches and wigs because, you know, you don't want to see this team get fined again just for trying to work out and be ready for next season.
Do it. Fine us. Let's go.
Okay.
Bring it.
All right.
No, we're training.
Kyle Bhawan will pay it. No problem.
Dude, come on, man. Like, I still got a big problem with that, man. And obviously the Canucks got to do it, but also, you know, keep it under the radar now because, again, they got caught. And I wonder what these repercussions could be. But I truly believe, again, that when they say next season starts now, proof is in the fine. It's already happened. It still is continuing. Like, again, there is maybe they're not on the grouse grind, but there's something going on today with the team. There's players doing things, you know, making plans, either working out, talking with the coach. It starts now. I believe it. Culture is changing. Got to put that out there. Locked on Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs.
Want to bring up one more thing quickly on the Jack Studnicka move. So over at Nucks Misconduct, I wrote about this trade as soon as it happened, and I said that this reminds me exactly of the Forsling for Glendening move. Like, you trade a young, promising fifth round Swedish defenseman for a guy who's 23, who probably isn't really going to be much more than he already is. And as soon as I mentioned that on Twitter, like, this trade reminds me of Glendening for Forsling. Adam Glendening liked the tweet. So, you know, guys like Glendening and all these other players that they know what's going on. They know Jim Benning does not have a golden reputation. And yeah, I don't want to bet against Byron Berger or wish him any ill will, but I just hope this trade doesn't blow up in the Canucks face because, you know, you just never know, man. You never know. Let's end this segment.
You kind of know.
Yeah, well, you know, let's end the segment on a positive note. So the one good trade, in my opinion, and I think you probably agree with this, Kyle, that Allvin made earlier in the season was trading a fifth round pick in this year's draft for Ethan Bear and Lane Peterson. Ethan Bear, again, he wasn't even playing in Carolina, wasn't even the top six, surpassed by Jalen Chatfield, but he looks like a comfortable top four defenseman in Vancouver. Slotted in really nicely beside Quinn Hughes. Again, he's probably not a top four defenseman on a Stanley Cup contending team, but again, a player like Bear, I think, does fit in really seamlessly with Hughes because he's a smart player, he's good in transition, and you don't necessarily need like a number two stub beside Quinn Hughes. You know, he can prop up a guy like Bear and make him a legit top four defenseman.
No, I like Ethan Bear, man. He's solid. You know, you did say something pretty specific there, pretty niche, right? Top four defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks. That's not saying much, right? Luke Shen was a number two defenseman. Luke Shen was a number two defenseman here.
Holy
crazy, man. He may be coming back as well. We'll never
know.
No.
Luke Shen is not coming back.
I also like Ethan Bear because of his relationship with his dog, man. He missed NHL hockey because his dog passed away. Rest in peace to that kind soul. And I'm with that, Bronco. Man. Family over everything. Family over everything. And dogs are family. Rest in peace to Guinness, too. Rest in peace to Guinness, man. If we're going to talk about dogs on Locked On Canucks, we got to I was going to give a shout out to Loki, my dog, but dude, get out of here, Loki. This moment's about Guinness.
Yeah, shout out to all the dogs out there. And, you know, for you listening, maybe you're even walking your dog, listening to this podcast, who knows? But if you do have a dog and you're listening, no, we love your dog. We love your dog. You know, keep giving your dog that love that he or she deserves. All right, I would say out of these three trades, I'd give it an overall fail, to be honest with you. I mean, I like the Ethan Bear move, but trading for Jack Studnicka was an overpay. I know you wanted to get rid of DiPietro, put him in another organization, but giving away Meyerberg, to me, didn't make a lot of sense for Studnicka. And then the Dickinson and a second for Stillman was just an absolute joke on a number of levels, which we touched on already.
You could have got Studnicka later in life on waivers, you know?
Yep, exactly. Like, Boston probably was going to waive him.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Okay, let's move on.
One of your only right shot deep prospects.
It's sunny. It's sunny outside, okay? It's warm, too. It's getting hot. Look at you bringing out the devil horns for today's episode of Locked On Canucks, man. Already, man. Move to break.
All right, so from the worst to the best, was the Bo Horvat trade better than any move that Jim Benning made in his 8-year tenure as Canucks GM? We're going to talk about that next. But first, I need to ask you, have you ever been stressed out by buying tickets at the last minute? Now, I'm a big last minute deals guy, and I found the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Gametime. You know, Gametime, they got my back. I get these emails from Nicole at Gametime, and she's always teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Gametime offers me flash deals on last minute tickets. What's even better than that is that they have the lowest price guarantee along with event protection cancellation. Now I have no choice but to be a good bro and give my buddy Kyle some tickets that I purchased at the last minute on Gametime. Happy 30th birthday, buddy. Or happy early 30th birthday, buddy.
Whoa, where am I going, man? Am I going to what's going on? Like, what's going game time? What concerts are coming up? You get me tickets to the Manila Gray show? Who knows, man? Who knows?
Oh, yeah. When's Manila Gray coming up? Is that for your birthday?
I think April. I'll be houseboating actually, so don't give me those tickets. I believe it's like May 28th, May 27th, something around then. Shout out to Manila Gray. Shout out to the Ones Collective. Shout out to Azelle North. Game time. Locked on Canucks. Continue.
All right. Yeah. Well, do you like a little heavy rock? Do you like Disturbed? Disturbed is coming. You can find Disturbed tickets on Gametime right now. Shout out
Okay.
Disturbed.
All right.
So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Locked on Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, a little all over the place today. Second cup of coffee. And if you don't know, 5 days, I'm 5 days away from what? Turning 30, man. Turning 30, yesterday I took Advil for no reason. I don't condone this, by the way. I'm just letting the people know what I'm going through, my experiences. And then today, my father called me to talk about cholesterol. Like, we never talk about cholesterol. What's going on, dude?
He knows you're turning 30. That's why.
What's going on, dude? When you're younger, the parents, what do they say? The birds and the bees, right? They pull you in the room.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, Kyle, we know you're getting older. The birds and the bees, that conversation. I guess when you're getting to 30 and your parents are still around, one love to the parents, they got to hit you up and talk about cholesterol. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm going through. So if I feel a little jittery today or sound a little jittery all over the place, reason with me, okay? Locked on Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, Horvat, Hronek, first-round pick, Beauvillier. Let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, and again, I want to look at these trades in a nutshell, but you really can't because that first rounder was used for Hronek. But let's talk about the Horvat side of it a bit. So the Canucks traded Bo Horvat with some salary retained for Anthony Beauvillier. Aatu Ratu, everydayers know this, but we had a great episode on Aatu Ratu. Is he the next JT Miller? And then the Canucks also acquired a first-round pick in that trade, which, of course, they then traded away to the Detroit Red Wings for Philip Hronek. But sometimes I think with trades, sometimes the mistake you avoid is the biggest win of them all. And we talked about it last week. Everydayers know that as well. The Canucks dodged a bullet by not signing Bo Horvat to that massive 8-year, $8.5 million extension. In no sane world is Bo Horvat worth $8.5 million a season. Not only everydayers know that, but I think casual Canuck fans know that too.
I think the NHL knows that now too. The NHL knows that too. Oh, man.
So it's the Islanders' problem now. So, again, I think first and foremost, Allvin deserves credit for standing his ground and not overpaying Horvat. And at the end of the day, I didn't hate the return. I mean, you'd like to shed some salary, but in this, everyone's capped out right now. That was almost impossible. And Anthony Beauvillier, as we mentioned before, has outscored Bo Horvat so far since the trade.
Bro, Beauvillier was a highlight in the commercial. They're talking about structure, adaptability, accountability, consistency, respect, desirability, devotion, practice habits, accountability. Did I say that? Respect, every day, work hard, ethic, inspiration. Had Beauvillier right there, right in the middle of all those words.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, Beauvillier really was the. I mean, for his, as much as he played well and he's in the promos, he was the least important part of this trade. Two most important parts were the first round pick, which at the time was like getting me excited, getting all of Canucks fans excited because it was an unprotected first round pick in 2024 of the Islanders, landed in the top 12 in this year's draft and kept that pick. So obviously that didn't happen, but I was like, ooh, that was a good bet by Allvin at the time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And obviously they had bigger aspirations with the Hronek trade. And Aatu Ratu, I mean, this guy is still really young. He just turned 20 years old. We talked about it before. Profile similarly to JT Miller. Still needs some work. I think he's got to have a full season in the AHL this year. But all in all, it was, I thought, a really good move by Allvin. And maybe I'll pose this to you, Kyle. Was this trade better than any trade that Jim Benning made in his 8 years as general manager.
Hey, first off, I want to say sorry to Atu Ratu for forgetting him in my assessment of what went on with the Horvat trade. Okay, it is what it is, and maybe it's because I do see this guy as an AHLer still next year for the most part, just the way it is. You said he's very young, he's got things to learn, and I'm putting that out there. This guy's going to be a full-time NHLer and a really good one. Not next season, but the year after that, okay? Let's put that out there. Now, your question, is this a better trade than any trade Jim Benning made? Let me think. Let me think about this. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Honestly speaking, bro, if the Vancouver Canucks were winning more games, then the JT Miller trade would probably match up to this one. But since they're not winning games and overall team success is what really matters to the people, to the fans, and to life, I can't give them that one for real. And I don't even want to be proud of anything Jim Benning did. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to put my head there. Because again, he has caused so much animosity, so much tension between this fan base. And he continues to do so. He continues to do so. And he'll do so for a long time. Why? Because of all the moves he did and didn't make. Remember, he should never be forgiven for the Ekman Larson thing, the Beagles, all that stuff, you know? For sure, the Ericssons, all that stuff. But never forget, he chose to prioritize Tanner Pearson and Jake Virtanen over signing Pettersson long-term. Just think about that. Think about that. Yeah. That is nuts. That is weird, strange, out-of-line behavior, and it's not fair to the fan base. So I'm not going to spend any more time even thinking of some good things from Jim Benning. I'm sorry, I'm petty. I'm trying to be less angry in this thing called life, but hey, I'm getting old. I'm getting older. Cholesterol, Advil. Don't blame me. Blame reality. Trevor, how about you? You think Benning has a trade to match up to this one?
Yeah, I mean, so I was looking at an article I wrote back in December 2021, ironically, a couple of days before Jim Benning got fired. I'm pretty sure it's because of this article, you know? But I had the best move of Benning's tenure, or at least the best trade, being the JT Miller trade. But because that was the right trade at the wrong time, I'd probably have the Bo Horvat trade ahead of this one for now. Now, that being said, I have some hesitation because they just flipped that first rounder and used it to acquire Hronek. So,
yeah, see,
I got some hesitation there, man. I got some hesitation.
They traded for a guy that was hurt, dude. We'll never forget, bro. Never forget, bro.
Oh, man.
We've barely seen this guy play. And the crazy thing about this, like, bro, if let's say Hronek has a really good year, and the Canucks don't do well as a team, they're forced to sign this guy for a long time. And for a lot of money. They need Hronek to be elite. Really, really good. Continue on what he did last year, but improve. And if that's the case, again, we're looking at a $7 million defenseman. So it's just like, Canucks got to win next year, okay? Next season starts now. Dude, if you're not training today because you're scared of getting in trouble, everyone's got to read The Alchemist, okay? Everyone's got to read The Alchemist right now. That's it, bro. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Did a ghost walk in or what, Pexy?
No, it was not. It was not.
You scared me, dude.
Oh, man.
Oh, let's get to break, man. Locked on Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, man. You okay?
Yeah, here. Whoa, did it look like a ghost? Sorry, give me a second. Okay,
man.
Well, we're gonna get to break. No ad read here. We're just gonna pause for an ad break, but we'll be right back on Locked On Canucks.
You're back on Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs is okay. He's okay, and he's still with us. Kyle Bhawan is with you as well, and the people, the fans, are with us as well. Let's get to Comment Corner, my favorite part of the show. Beggsy likes this a little bit as well. First comment comes from Yanar Palasaniemi. Wow, I did a good job there. Okay, as a Hawks fan, I love your tears. Love your tears. Live on your tears. I don't know what he's saying there. He just loves the agony that we showed in that episode post Connor Bedard not ever becoming a Vancouver Canuck. He's a Blackhawk for life. He loves our tears, and that's cool. It is what it is. I can take the hate.
Maybe we can bottle them up and sell them to him. You know, that would make me feel a little bit better about it.
Wow.
Hit us up in the comments. I'll cry and bottle up my tears for Urinar Lalaniemi.
Yeah, what if tears were sweet? What if we just excreted sweet thing? Everything we excrete is like salty, you know? There's probably a reason for that,
Good
but I
question.
failed biology a couple times, okay? Next comment comes from Chris, okay? Most Canucks are good people. He's saying this because we did drop an episode yesterday dedicating all our time to Pedersen's kindness. Yes, kindness. That seems to be a thing for at least going back to when I started watching in the 1990s, okay? The Canucks have been good for a very long time. That's just what it is. But he also is saying that it's a bit of a problem. Are we too nice? Are we too nice over here? You need some of that snarl, that POS energy here. All right. You know how we always say lead with love?
Yeah.
Nice guys do finish. Okay, wait. No, you know what? Me and you, I don't think you can brag about how nice you are because then something fishy is going on, right? Like, okay, these guys are probably not that nice then, right? But do you believe that nice guys finish last? There's no way. There's no way you can say that.
I don't really believe that. No, I don't really believe that. I do believe in karma to an extent. That being said, when it comes to the game of hockey, I think there's an argument to be made there for nice guys finishing last. And what I first thought of was that Leafs Panthers series. Now, who knows? It's not over yet. Leafs did win Game 4.
It's over.
That series, you see that the team with more snarl, with more bite, even though they're the underdog, has been the more successful team so far. The Leafs, they got talent for days, but when it comes to playoffs, when it comes to winning, you do need to have a bit of a mean streak going when it comes to the playoffs. So
do you think
we'll see? I'm not sure the Canucks have that.
Do you think I'm too nice? I'm entering my
so.
30s. This is a really pivotal time in my life. You know, it's like this path that I take this decade is it. You know, it's it. It's really it. So going into it, do you think I need to be more snarly, look out for myself, be more savage, Trevor Beggs?
The one thing I will say is that, you're in a long-term relationship and so am I. And I've noticed now that I'm married, now that I have a daughter, I'm a bit softer. Okay. I'm a bit more emotional. I'm a bit softer. So I think it's something to be aware of, I think I might be becoming too nice. That being said, I know you in particular, you just ripped the entire city of Vancouver this week for littering on the beach. And that'd be the reason we didn't draft Bedard. So I think you can dish it out when people deserve it, which I respect about you, bro.
There you go. I don't know if you were asking me to break up with my girl there as like I don't know if that's what you're thinking.
No. I'm just saying, watch out for becoming too soft. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Unbelievable. Okay, Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. Thanks so much for listening. Shout out to the everydayers. Shout out to the people who are not even watching this as well. Again, Beggsy and I from Surrey, we lead with love. We're sending love your way. Sorry. Shout out to the world, man. Shout out to the world. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Beggsy, what else, man? What else?
Yeah, all I want to say, I think you summed it up pretty nicely there, but stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. We'll go into the second part of revisiting Patrik Allvin's first full year of trades for the Vancouver Canucks. But until then, I'm Trevor Beggs. That sexy beast is Kyle Bhawan. If you're on audio, just know he's sexy. But for now, you've been listening to Locked On Canucks, your team every day.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.